Good morning. Yay. There's my face and there's screen. Hey, this guy. Are you already here? Impressive. You were here before me. Okay, let's see. What the hell are we doing? I'm tired. I'm not gonna lie. Had a tough night. My son, he's 2 by the way. He didn't want to go to sleep last night, so we were stuck with him till well after 10. And then he woke up at 4 again. Started crying like crazy, so I don't know what's happening, but I got like 5 hours of sleep, so today's going to be interesting. Yeah, typical 2-year-olds, eh? How old are your kids? Are they also 2? Or are they at least a little bit... have they gone past this age? Yes. Gee whiz, there's 4 of them. Yeah, we have 1 and then the second one on the way, so I still have to get through a lot of this. A lot of sleepless nights. Yeah, I guess by the... At what age do they just sleep like normal people? You tell them, you're tired, go to sleep. Okay. And it's over. It's like... Because he will fight you. Holy moly. 2-year-olds are ferocious. Okay. Yes, we were doing enemy refactoring. Well, how am I even... Obviously, that's what we're doing, right? Never. Nah, come on. It must change at some point. Or at least you don't have to be there. Even if they don't want to go to bed, you don't have to be, sitting there next to them, trying to get them to settle down. Yes, like surely your 19-year-old just sleeps when he likes to or she likes to. Oh, your 6-year-old you do sometimes. Okay. That's fair. Okay. What the hell am I? Okay, so I think the last thing we did, so if we just take out our... Let's just play the game and see what happens. But I think if I remember correctly, he doesn't have sound effects and he doesn't die properly. Right, he works pretty well, like he does his thing, which I'm actually kind of surprised by. So that's cool. But he doesn't make sound, and if you kill him... Yeah, no sound effects. And I think he still tries to face you. Yeah. He spins around. Okay. Let's get into it. How are you doing, by the way? I did not even ask. Open C# project. Okay. So the first thing would be sound. Oh yeah, it's already Friday again. Oh damn. The weeks are flying by. And it's Friday afternoon for you, so you're in weekend mode. Still need to get through this day. Okay, what did we say that we gotta... I remember us having a discussion about how to implement sound effects. How did we say we're gonna do this? I think the idea was something like, so if we just... So would we, on top of this enemy, have a script just called sound effects or something like that, and then we have the different sound effects that we can just drag on top of him? Is there any reason to make it generalized? So my feeling is no, because look, there will be a bunch of sound effects that are common, I guess, maybe, but there will definitely be a bunch of sound effects that are character specific, or because the problem is with the it's not really a problem. How did I want to do this? I think I'm gonna have to change a bunch of things. Okay, so let's try it. So I think we're just gonna do it simply, some basic different things for every single enemy, because they might have some similar sounds, like a grunt here or there, but or at least I can name them the same, but that's about it. Okay, so I'm just gonna do this separate. So now I was thinking about using a scriptable object for the sound effects. Is there any benefit to that? I don't think so. So we can just create monobehavior script, call it simple melee enemy sounds. As event channels. Not even sure what that means. I think I've heard of this before. It's some like handling event, connecting scripts together using scriptable objects or something like that, isn't it? Is that how it works? I have no idea. But the only... Okay, so scriptable object, what I was meaning when I said that is something similar to how I have audio clips SO. So should I make audio clips SO for each character? And I don't think that's necessary. Like, I could just have these audio clip lists inside of a script, right? So that part, I'm pretty sure it doesn't have to be a scriptable object. I don't think. I really need to go learn what the point is of a scriptable object, because it feels like in many ways you don't have to use it. You can just use a simple monobehavior script to do most of the same stuff. It persists, so that's one thing, I guess. So is it true to say that, okay, so let's say I have this scriptable object. It's got like 20 audio files, right? And it persists. It doesn't need to be connected to anything. We just need a reference to it. Does that mean that there's only one of these ever in my game? And then if I now, for instance, have sound effects connected straight, like in a monobehavior script to this character, would that mean that that little clip will be duplicated every time a character spawns? Or is it still just a reference to a clip in my file system? I'm not really quite sure how that works. I think it's still a reference, so it doesn't really get duplicated, but yeah. The piece of the script gets duplicated, but it, oh well, that doesn't matter. Yeah, it's just a reference. Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought. I wanna see what scriptable objects as event channels. See what happens when I Google that. Okay. Facilitate communication. Okay, so that's kind of that's what I inferred just by the name. Act as some kind of an intermediary, allowing script to broadcast and listen for events without needing to directly reference each other. Oh, interesting. Interesting. That is interesting. So since scripts don't need to know about each other, yes, like it. This sounds very cool. Yeah, no singletons for a start. But singletons aren't really... I like singletons. They solve a problem easily, right? But apart from that, there's other issues I've been having. Like things that I had to connect to one another, but I didn't want to make... So I passed references around. So, if I want to connect my UI or something like that to a character, I had to pass in references because, for instance, my character data, which has my health, right? It's not a scriptable object, and it's not a singleton because there are many characters, right? Or many character datas. And then I was struggling so much to get that data to the UI. Like if you look at the scripts I use to spawn my UI, I literally, when I spawn in the UI, I attach a reference to my character just so that I can communicate with the UI when something happens. Yes, yeah, that was such a roundabout way of doing things. And if a script... Now, look, just by reading this, I'm not sure how to actually architect this, but it does sound pretty nice. I might have to go and check this out. So let's see. So you have a player health event. So you have a Unity. Do you have to do this with Unity events, or can you use C# events? I appreciate that. But if I take yours, that's like just copying codes from the internet. All the same thing, right? You are on the internet. I copy your code. I don't understand what I'm doing. Or using AI. Like, I've been asked this before, but like, I'm still learning. And I feel like if I use AI, I'm just gonna... Yeah, I guess I'll still have to learn how to use. But let's see what they do here. So we raise health event. So we invoke with new health. Okay. So this is the event channel, and then this would be the listener. So this is the mono behavior, right? This is like my UI or whatever. So we still need to connect my player health event channel. So this would be a scriptable object, right? That we connect here through a serialized field. Okay. Then we just add the listener. That's fine. And then we just on health change do something. And then do we also connect? So I'm assuming that then I do a similar thing in the emitter. I just have a... Oh, that's actually super straightforward. So I would just basically go and put a serialized field reference into the thing that's sending the signal. But when it sends the signal, it basically just runs this function. Because it's just some public function. And then that signal will get passed to the listener. Huh. That's actually pretty cool. So you have a single scriptable object that you just drag into both ends, and now they connected. That's actually pretty cool. And it's so easy to understand. Actually, this was actually so easy to get. Okay, but do we need to use Unity events, or is it? I guess you don't, hey? This should work with anything. I actually don't know what the difference is, or what the benefit is over Unity events versus C# events. I just kind of started using C# events because the tutorial I did at the beginning used those. Yes, this is actually so cool. Okay. Okay, yeah, they serialized. Okay. No, that makes sense. Okay, but would it work for the scriptable object though? Would that even make a difference? I guess if I want something else to happen. Wait, okay, so if I make this script, do I have to make the actual scriptable object? Or is okay, so let's run through this. You're gonna tutor me now. So let's create a folder. Let's call it event SO. So that will just be a folder for all my different event SOs. So in my scripts, obviously I'll have to create a new, like I'm not doing any refactoring right now. I have to go. Ah, come on, man. Okay, wait. What am I trying to create? There's a scriptable object script. Okay, so this thing will have to be something like, I don't know. Shall we do a player health event channel? I guess. Let's try and duplicate this. Health event channel. Okay. Okay, so a player health event channel script. Okay, so this is just a script, and I need to put in the functionality in here. Okay, wait, what do you think? Remember, it's a single reference, so you will need an instance for each character. Okay. Wait, okay, so we obviously we create this stuff, and let's copy some code from the internet, why not? So this would be basically it, right? This is all it needs to do. So it just gets a unit event, player health change, new unity event, and then we just invoke with our new health. But no overload for method invoke takes one argument. Like this. Float. Okay, and then I guess this one should have new unity event off with a float. Okay, so this is a unity event that passes a float through as an argument. Okay, so what you're saying is, okay, so I have this, and that's it. So then in my crying out loud. Okay, just finish your thing. I will need to create in my scriptable object folder now. Oh geez, what the hell? No, go away. I need to create a scriptable object player health event channel. So let's say that's my scriptable object, right? That's fine. What can I drag in here? So this would be okay, but this is the okay. So with the Unity event, like you said, it's serializable, right? So I could technically have a function in here, right? I could drag like my game manager in there. No, apparently I can't. Never mind. Okay, so do I need multiple of these for each character, or would this one be sufficient? Like if I, for all my characters now, just drag this one in into each character. One for each. So I'll need one for each character. Why is that, though? That doesn't seem to work for me. Okay, but I mean, you mean the scriptable object? I just need to duplicate this. Okay, I get that, but hear me out. Why? Like, wouldn't it work? Okay, so let's say in my players I have my character, and let's say I connect this to my character data, right? So I go into character data, and then I have a let's say I have serialized field, right? So this would be serialized field. What do we call this? Player health event channel, right? And we call it player health event channel. Okay. And I drag it in there. So you're saying if one fires, all of them will? Okay, I'm just trying to figure this out. So if I tell this thing, let's say, okay, okay, but for the health specifically, okay, so let's say something happens, so we go to one of our health property, right? And instead of, okay, so I do all this nonsense, but let's say when my health changes, I do player health event channel dot raise event, and I just put my current health in there. Okay. Right. Okay, single point reference. If you make an instance at runtime, then the listener won't be connected to the same instance and it won't work. Okay, yeah, I get that. Okay, but let's say, so we have the health, it's connected. So if this specific character data, which would be duplicated for all the characters, right, has a health event, it'll raise the health event, and the listener would be my UI, for instance. Okay. Okay, so if we even dig deeper and we connect this player health event to my base character, Okay, you would need to some way to tell which enemy it came from. Okay, yeah, no, for enemies, I get that. I understand that we might need different ones for the different enemies, right? Because there will be multiple enemies as well, right? Okay, but in this case, let's say we have a player health event. Oh, wait a minute. I think it just clicked. Okay, so let's think about this the same way we think about character data changed, right? So this is fired every time anything happens with my health. Right, so if my health goes up or down, I send all this data through. For instance. So one of the problems is even the characters that are not currently being used could still... Oh, you meant characters. Okay. Okay, so even the characters that are not in use will still raise this event. But I don't care about the characters that are currently not in use. I only want to know what the health is of the guy I'm playing with, because that guy is my selected character. Okay, so what I could do is at the listener side, right, so whoever listens to this, I could tell it to ignore any... Okay, so maybe this is not a good thing, but I could tell it to ignore anything that it hears from a non-selected character. Yeah, we can do an active in hierarchy. We could use... Yeah, okay, so we need to pass with this event, we need to tell it which character sent the event. Or we need multiple of these events. Okay, so the reason I don't like the using multiple of these events is because multiple of them would mean that I need to have a new event created for each character I create in the future. And I don't really like that. I would like this player health event channel to work always, no matter what character I make. So all I would do like realistically is I would go and change. Where the hell do I even do that? Somewhere I do that. Hey, nice panda. Good morning. Okay, so let's say... So our event channel will take a float. Does this work? Can I do multiple things? Hey, it does. How do I do character names again? I can't remember. So this character name over here. Where am I getting this from? That's in character data. Character name. Where's character name? My blind. Oh, here we go. Oh, it's in a list of selectable characters. Yeah. So if we go here, we have this enum. So we send through this enum as well. The selected character enum. So basically we want a float and a player manager dot selected character. Okay, so these two things need to be sent. Okay, we'll figure this out. So we need float new health and we need player manager dot selected character, and we just call this character. name. I could go even further. Oh, fantastic. How could I go even further? Okay, so change the scriptable object event to send the character to the UI when the game starts. That way, the UI can hook into anything whenever it wants. Okay. Send the character to the UI. What does that mean? Yeah, nice, Panda. I'm doing a little bit better. I'm getting there. Not a lot of sleep, but I'll make it. There might be a couple of energy drinks in my future. My near future. Oh, I understand what you're saying. Yeah. So we send the whole ass character to the UI and not just... so basically it gets a character reference. So it doesn't get a float or even just the name of the character. It gets the character. Right, okay, so that's fine. I can kind of do that already though. So okay, we're just fooling around, right? I'm not trying to actually build a thing that's gonna work necessarily right now, right? The main thing is I want to understand how to use scriptable objects as this connection, because technically what you're describing is kind of something I've done already. So in the player manager, where the hell? So in the player manager, which is a singleton, right? And remember the player manager it's always available. It's a singleton. Anybody can get this. There is a couple of ways we could just ask the player manager, yo, which character is actually selected right now? And that is kind of what I do. So for instance, you can see, I have it just like this. Get selected character, and it returns the game object of the selected character. Right, so technically, if I wanted, and this is a public function connected to a singleton, I could straightforwardly just ask from the UI. If the UI, for instance, just wants a whole ass reference to the game object itself, it could just straightforwardly ask the player manager that. Now, again, maybe I wouldn't have done it this way if I thought about using this thing instead. Yeah, we could technically just have, instead of just sending one float, we could just send the whole character data, for instance, which, technically could have all the information I need. Right? And then we can just say, oh, wait, is this character data for the character that I want? But then it's not a health event channel, then it's a any data change channel. Okay. Let's leave that there. I think I get the idea. There's no need for me to do this right now. I can do this when I get back to the UI thing. Okay. So let's just leave that for now. Let's go back to my character data. Let's just take that out in case it's a problem. And let's actually work on the stuff I said I was going to do today. Okay. So we'll get back to this one day when we rebuild our UI. But today, I need to make the enemy do sound effects, right? That's the most important thing for today. Okay. So I think for the enemy, we might use this for the enemy. Let's see if we can figure this out. Okay, so we have our simple melee enemy. I already added a little script. Let's see, where's this script? Just something called sounds. And I think we're just going to add the component simple melee enemy sounds like that. Okay, now let's see what do we need. Okay, so I think we'll need a serialized field, private audio clip array, right? And then we call the first one, this would be attack grunt sounds. I don't remember what sounds this guy makes, but he definitely makes this sound. Okay, and we have... Okay, so then what do we need to do? Let's go look at our sound manager, actually, and see how we want to interface with that. Yeah, so our sound manager... Because we're still going to play the sounds from here. Because it's got all of these. So we'll play this sound, basically. We'll do that. And currently... So let's see, footsteps on grass, whoosh, hit, totem, hit, explosion, small grunt sound. I think that was the, so it's something like this. Okay, but play, I might even make this, so play grunt sound at the transformed, so we need, we actually don't need this. The target would be just the transform, dot position. We have a volume, we have a priority. Okay, what do we need to... We don't actually have to play that. We can just play one of these ones. And then here we do sound... .instance.play sound. Okay. Something like this. I feel like this will work. Right, so we in this little enemy sounds folder, script, we have all our audio clips and we have the function that we need to call, which is connected to the bigger sound manager. Yeah. So this would be attack grunt sound. Okay, what other sounds does this guy make? I think he makes a sound when he gets hit. But that's not something linked to his animation. That would be linked to something else. Okay, he also makes a sound. Okay, so he does his little hee, and then he does the sword whoosh sound. So we'll do void. Okay, let's call this attack whoosh sounds. Right, and it's pretty much going to be the same thing. But this would be attack. Whoosh sound. Okay, so we play one of these, add our position, and all that stays the same. Right, so now it's localized to this character. Now, the reason I don't want to generalize this to all characters or to all enemies is because I don't want to make a script like this one again. Because I don't like this. So now I just got the two that this guy needs in there, and that'll be good. Okay. So now there's a separate script with the two that I needed. Okay, so play whoosh sound, play the other one. So now we just need to go get the sounds and plug them in. Okay, so we need the sounds over there. Would I even be able to find these sound effects now? I don't know. Where are they? So let's see. Maybe if I do this, I can find them. Small enemy attack grunts. Yeah. Where are these sounds? Okay, there they are. Okay, so the attack grunt sounds. Oh, for crying out loud! Stop doing that. Okay, there we go. Attack grunt sounds. Okay, then we have the sword whoosh sound. I actually don't know which one this is either. Okay, we'll just throw those in there. Okay, so that's nice. He's got all of his references. So now what we can do is we can just go to our animator, or animation events. Right, and we can do it over here, yeah, on hit 1 or on hit 2. So we can drag in the references over here, or we can play them from here as well, if we want to. I don't think that's necessary. I sometimes just like... So the way this is going to work, it's going to make it a little bit easier for me to follow this. So I could literally just do it like this, drag in this enemy and be like, okay. We'll take the sounds and we'll play attack grunt sound. Do I want to do it like this? Or do I want to do it in the script instead? Really doesn't matter because this is very straightforward now. It's not... So normally I would have to go look in all different places where the sounds are getting played, but right now the sounds will only be played in one place. So I could even, if I wanted, I could have different sound effects for different for the two different attacks, right? Because he has 2 attack animations. I could have 2 of them. I just don't. Okay, so that's good. So that works. So how did the hit sound work? So the hit sound, I think that was... so if we look at this enemy again, the hit sound might have been with simple melee enemy or enemy take damage, right? I think this is where I made the sound when we applied a hit. Yeah. I seem to remember this is where the sound was made. Okay, so the idea we could play the hit sound from here, or we could change this behavior somehow. So obviously when any enemy takes damage, they can play a sound, but maybe we want them to play different sounds when they take damage. Potentially, but this script is obviously going to be, so maybe we use an event for that one as well, a Unity event, and then we just invoke the event over here, and then I can plug in the sounds I want to play, even though this thing remains generic. Yeah, I kind of like that. Okay, so we'll do. Then I can make this one feel like a nice juicy little sound, right? Like a fart. And then another character I could make scream, or maybe he's armored, so you know it makes a different sound, etc. But this script doesn't change. I just drag into the inspector stuff. Yeah, that is good. I like that. Okay, so I just need something like this. This is how you do a Unity event. Okay, so let's do public Unity event. Okay, so this would be on apply hit equals new Unity event, right? Something like this. And then we can do on apply hit dot invoke over there, right? That's all we need, right? So when we apply hit, we invoke it. I think that's it, right? That's all we do. Yep. Okay, so if we save that, we go look at the character in the inspector now. There's a on apply hit inside of enemy damage. Right, so now we just need another one. Get hit sounds, and we play those similarly to how we play the other sound. Play get hit sound. Okay, and we play one of these. Add our position. I don't know about the volume. I guess this is something we'll have to figure out. Yes, how much of a nightmare is this going to be when I have to change sound effects? This might be quite a nightmare if I have to change the volumes for stuff. So maybe we serialize this as well. So we do something like a private float, and then we can do attack grunt volume. Right, and then I can tweak it in the inspector while the game plays, right? Okay, so we do those three. So it's going to be attack grunt, attack whoosh, and then get hit volume. Right, and we can set all of them to 0.2 for now. And then we can just tweak them in the inspector when we need to. Priority, I'm not too sure. So let's actually do another serialized field now that I think about it. And let's call it sound effects priority. This should be an integer. And we can set it to 5. But we should be able to change this as well. And the idea would be... that all the sounds this guy makes has the same priority. I think that makes sense. Okay, so that if... Because it's not like I want his grunt or his whoosh or his hit sound instead of one or the other. Either he makes all his sounds or he doesn't make any sounds. Right? Okay. So let's just save that twice. Now let's go look at what this would look like. Is it okay? It's not that bad, right? Sound effect priority is 5. Why is this at 0.2? Not... Okay, so we just need to get the get hit sounds. And now this thing can just literally... So we can drag the reference in there and we can say play get hit sound. Okay. Okay, now we just need to go get the get hit sounds. So for this character, he's squishy, right? So I think just the squishy get hit sound will sound pretty good. So there'll be these ones. Yeah, and like if I have an armored character, right, I could use those, for instance. What the hell did I just do? Where did I click now? Hit body. Okay, so those ones. You can get hit sounds. Okay, so now he can play all the sounds I think he wants to play. Should be working. Let's go test it out. Let's see if we can hear them. Maybe we switch off the music just for a little bit in case it's very soft and not quite audible. Let's take the chicken. Okay, let's hear. Okay, so you can hear his scream is quite loud. You don't really hear the sword whoosh. Nice and juicy. I like that. Okay, so that worked pretty well. Okay, fantastic. So we got the basic sound effects working. And now the last thing is just to make sure that when he dies properly. Right, so currently I think the main script that's giving me issues is the movement script. So when he dies, he can still kind of like face towards me and stuff like that, which is not good. So let's see, over here. Yeah, so all of these things can still happen, right? Because they don't actually check whether or not we are dead. We can actually get rid of this now. Yeah, okay, stun and dead is not actually checked for. We're not handling those. Okay. Go away, cheap viewers. Okay. So yeah, in the past we had something like this. If in the dead state or in the stun state, we just can't do anything. So we should think about how we want to handle that. The first thing is, I don't think we handle that in the simple enemy movement. We handle that in the base movement, right? Because everybody should pretty much be able to get stunned. Regardless of what I do over here, stunned and dead should make them not do anything. Yeah, so in here, we only check if we are doing an action, then we take over movement. If we are doing an attack, we take over movement. But if our state is dead, then this can't happen. So then movement is done by our basic movement, right? Okay. So enemy basic movement takes over. It doesn't care whether you are dead or not. It'll still do all of the things that it normally does. So let's see. So it doesn't move you, but it does rotate you, because if you go through basic movement, do basic movement is true, which means we can calculate our distance and all that good stuff. And then we are not running, so that must mean the agent is stopped. Then we still rotate to face player, which is bad, right? So if do basic movement, now we need to think about this. Okay, I think it's fairly straightforward. We could just do and state machine dot get state is not equal to enemy state dot stunned, right? So we can't be stunned and we can't be dead. So if we are not stunned and we are not dead, that's fine. So first of all, the do basic movement is allowed by the character specific movement or the enemy specific movement, and we just check that we're not dead or stunned. If all those things are true, we can do basic movement, no problem. Okay, then we just need to make sure that if so else if, so let's say we are dead and or stunned, just want to make sure. So if we are stunned or we are dead, okay, so if we went to those two states, any one of those two states, we just need to make sure that we make the agent dot is stopped equals true. So we just stop the agent at least. I think previously we also disabled the agent, but realistically we just need to stop the agent, and then we can, because then he doesn't do anything, right? He just lies there. We can just stop the agent, and then the manager would eventually get rid of it anyway, right? If we go to the enemy manager, once we are dead, we do this destroy object timer, so it's fine. We can just stop the agent. Okay, so now the stun should work for that part at least. I'm not sure if there's any other way the stun. So the stun should also make us not attack. Okay, so how does the attack trigger work currently? So let's just see. So simple melee enemy attack. So it just checks whether we are in the zone. So if the player trigger and we are not in the attack state, we set the state to attack. Now, okay, so for this guy, we just set the state to attack. Now, we cannot set the state. So if we go to the state machine, if we set the state, and we can only set it if we are not dead and we are not stunned. That's the only reason we can change to the attack state. So if we are not in the attack state, if we went to stun state, it won't get into the attack state, which means that trigger won't actually get us attacking. So we can't move, we can't attack when we're stunned or dead. I think that is it. Everything is done for this enemy. Let's see. Let's just make sure. Oh, I never stopped the game, so obviously it's now super upset. Okay, so we'll take the chicken again so that we can try and stun this guy and see if the stun works. Okay. Okay, he gets stunned. He can't run after me. He doesn't look at me either. He dies. He just falls over. And that's it. Okay, that's cool. So one of the other things we kind of don't have anymore is the whole pushing away enemies when they die, which is kind of cool, right? So when they die, they fly off. So how do we want to do that? Or is that important right now? Maybe we don't worry about that right now. Maybe we try to get all the characters just working. And then we can come back and look at additional effects we want to add when they die. Right, because what I was kind of thinking was we apply a force to them when they die. And just to apply a force isn't that hard. But we should also make them ragdoll. I have no idea how to do a ragdoll effect. It's probably... yeah, who knows? I've never done it before. Applying a force to them shouldn't be that hard. But yeah, the other one, maybe not so much. Okay, we have an ad. I'm going to go to the restroom real quick, and I'll see you guys in 2 minutes. Let's... I'm back with a coffee refill. Okay, let's continue to the next enemy, I guess, right? This guy seems done. Okay, that's pretty nice. We got our small enemy working again, and I think he works better than ever before. I think that way. Okay, let's go. Next one. Now, this is going to be more of a challenge because this guy obviously has a lot of behavior that's a little bit more complicated. Wait, what's the problem here? Oh, the enemy counter doesn't work. Apparently. Kill enemy. Okay, wait. Let's see if we can't figure out what's happening here. Okay, so we do the damage. Okay, so this is not working. Is this the error? Yeah, maybe we should fix that before we go too far. Okay, so enemy manager.death, take damage. So is this counter maybe? Counter doesn't seem to be the problem. Okay, so obviously the animator events hits him. So do we do melee damage? We do a critical or not? We do all this stuff and then right when we want to do enemy data, enemy type gets sent to kill enemy. I don't understand where's the null reference exception coming in? What did I not? Okay, let's just do that. Let's open this guy again. Okay, so that thing seems fine. Our state machine seems fine. Okay, so the enemy type is a simple melee enemy. That's okay. Okay, so obviously it's the manager. So could it be that there's an override over here that makes him weird? It's not impossible. Let's see. Yeah, let's just apply all overrides. Yeah, because I was doing this stuff in here. Yeah, so it's specifically when he dies, the enemy counter is not a fan of when... So let's see. So this thing does melee attack damage, hit enemies. Okay, let's see if it's the knight or if... Let's see if we get the same error when we use the ranger, for instance. Oh, I don't have any enemies. Here we get the same thing. Interesting. So it seems like on start, spawn enemy works, right? But enemy counter instance or kill enemy does not work. And I can't understand why. So spawn enemy, that's fairly straightforward, right? Now it doesn't do anything. Okay, it's one of these dictionaries not initialized. I have no idea why. This happens at a wake. Okay, let's see. Can we do a debug.log? Can we just do this? Can we get that? Right. So after we add an enemy, this should be 1. So could we do enemy type? Plus that. Okay, let's just see what that looks like. So the counter should add an enemy when we start the game, and then it should subtract an enemy again later, but let's just play the game and see if it adds the simple melee enemy. Okay, so it added it once and then again. Okay, that's interesting. Why would it do it twice? Why would it do it twice? Okay, we select this guy and then... Is there something wrong with the way I... Ah, damn it. What the hell is this error? So we apply the hit, obviously, right? So we apply the hit. Okay, this is on the enemy. Okay, that's for the damage. Wait, does it try to apply a hit? Maybe it's because the character died. On God ahead, then death gets run. No, so it's take damage, then die. Then do the kill count thing. But then it tells me object reference is not set to an instance of an object. Which object reference? I have no idea what you're talking about. This can't be it. This thing just does its own thing. Right, so let's do this. So let's go to enemy manager. And where is enemy manager? Let's not run this specific. Okay. Maybe it's this thing where I disable take damage. Okay, but let's not run the kill enemy. Let's not add the kill enemy thing. Oh, bug. Okay, so he just dies. That's so strange. So it's definitely this piece of script here. So we try to reference the enemy counter instance, and we try to run the kill enemy function with our enemy type. So what if we just do enemy data dot enemy type dot as simple melee enemy, which is not the correct way, right? But I want to see what this does. Right, because the enemy counter, it knows, yeah, enemy types. Is it trying to, wait, could it be saying that one of these dictionaries aren't available or doesn't exist or something else? That doesn't make any sense. Okay, let's try again. Okay, let's just pause. Let's see a couple of things. So, game manager. Why is this thing switched off? Enemy count is active. As soon as I play the game, it gets switched off. Why? What the hell? Who's doing that? How is that happening? Somebody explain this to me. What the hell could be doing that? Okay, let's see. There are 14 references to this class. Is anything telling it to just deactivate itself? No, nothing should be able to do that actually. Okay, but this is definitely the problem here. Who has the power to do this? The game manager? Why would the game manager do this though? enemy. Okay, but this is definitely the problem. I just don't understand why anything would deactivate it. So it's fine when the first bit of code runs, but then it switches off. But how? Does it switch off because of an error? Okay, wait, let's try. Let's see what errors we get here. Okay, are these new ones? Yes. Okay, so there's the first one. Object reference. Okay, so we start off with an error. Because enemy counter dot awake couldn't run because, and this couldn't run because it's switched off. Don't know how that was ran. Then we have this one. How is it switched off? I have no idea. So if I switched it on again, so that means I should be able to kill this guy. Not quite. Oh, maybe the dictionary wasn't initialized, right? Oh, okay, wait, that's my fault. Okay, that one is my bad. Okay, that was my bad. So that dictionary doesn't work. Okay, so that's at least one of the problems solved. Okay, clear. Let's try again. That was my bad. Okay. Doesn't get switched off this time. Still have some issues here with... okay, get select. Okay, I can't do that. Because I haven't selected a character, right? Okay, that's it. Just my UI stuff. Okay. So now this is just UI related problems. I'm not sure why it did this twice. So we can try and figure that out. Yeah, okay. So that piece of code runs with the enemy counter. So right here. Yeah. So when we spawn an enemy, we run this. So let's do it there again. But why do we run this twice? That doesn't make sense. Okay, so this is only referenced here on start. Okay, let's just do debug.log. New SME spawned. Okay, so that should be ran exactly once. And now here we can actually change this back to enemy data dot enemy type. Okay, let's see if this does anything. Yeah, so we currently get this twice, which doesn't make any sense. There's only one enemy in this game. Unless there is a second one. Oh, wait. There is a second one. Yeah. Okay, but anyway, if we kill him now, there's only one left. Okay, yeah, no, there is a second one. It's the invisible punching bag. He is considered a simple melee enemy. Okay. My bad. Okay, so we get rid of that guy, and now everything should be working. Okay. Cool. So let's go get rid of these debug statements, because they're just going to annoy me. That one, and then in the enemy counter, we can get rid of these ones as well. Okay. Fantastic. So let's get the other enemies to work. So I'm again gonna just close all tabs, and then we're gonna restart this whole process, but with the bomber enemy. Hey, this guy. Yeah, I think I'm winning. I'm making my life a little bit more difficult than it needs to be with some stupidness, but I am winning. Everything's working for the small enemy now. Now, time for the next guy. Okay, so if we open this guy up, he should be pretty broken. Right. So let's see, what do we have here? Okay. So, our manager, all the things are connected. So these are the basic things. State machines should be there. Okay, let's change the data. So this is a ranged bomber enemy. Enemy name is Frog. Damage, he does like, 5 damage, I think. Movement speed is slow. Make it 6 XP. Value 2. Health, I don't know. Let's give him 12 health for now. Okay. Okay, basic movement. Okay, so the stop and follow distance, I'm not too sure about. We should add a nav mesh agent like that. Stop and follow distance. This is like 10 and 12 or something. We'll see how that looks. And then we can fiddle with that a bit more. Take damage. Okay, so it just needs... Well, it can get some sound effect if we want that. Okay, enemy status effect manager should be fine. The manager should be... Okay, so now this is where we need to change a few things. Okay, so we'll need a movement script and an attack script. And the bomb spawner, that stays. The state machine doesn't stay. And the manager doesn't stay. Right, so let's remove this component. And let's remove this component, right? Because these two are not required. The nav mesh obviously stays. Then we have separate movement and attack scripts that we'll figure out. And then we have a bomb spawner, which is a unique thing that this guy does, right? He spawns bombs. Okay. Okay, let's open some of these scripts then. Okay, so this movement script is hectic, but we'll get through it somehow. Okay, so first of all, we just get rid of this part. So we're not going to update movement in that way anymore. Okay, I'm just going to open up the small enemy scripts so I can get an idea what I did here. Okay, so we'll need references to the manager, movement basic, the agent, and the state machine. So let's get those straight up. Okay, so those we need, and they're the same thing, right? We can get rid of all these push things, distance to player. Let's actually just get rid of all that nonsense. Okay. Now, in start, we're going to do the same thing. We just need references to all of those things. That's basically all these do, right? Okay, so all that setup is the same. Now, where it starts to get different is in the update function. We need to decide what this guy does and when he does it. Right, so it's entirely possible. We can do this. We can 100% override all of the basic movement scripts. We can just say that for the frog, we just use this script over here. We don't even consider the basic movement script, right? That is possible. We could do that. Or we try to cleverly incorporate the two with one another. That might be difficult though. Okay, let's see. Okay, so all of this is commented out. Apparently there's something wrong here. Do I need another one? Yes. Okay, so none of the movement will be determined by this thing, right? Let's see what he does, actually. So he should move. He should move. Because he still has a basic movement script, right? Let's just make sure we get our manager in here. Okay, so we just get a reference to our manager in case. Okay, that's just our nav mesh agent. So he should just be moving because of basic movement, right? Basic movement should have us covered because it starts as do basic movement true. If we want the other script to take over, we could just set this to false. But what he should be doing is he should run towards us and he should stop. Now what he won't do is walk backwards, right? Walking backwards is a very specific thing this character does that no other character does. So that might be where we have to... If all of this looks good, then we can keep this. And we'll just have to figure out how the walking backwards then works. Okay. That's going to be interesting. I think he's active. I think I made him active. Okay, this is just player manager stuff. That's okay. Okay, let's see. Okay, so he does move. He doesn't animate. Okay, yeah, that is the thing we suspected. Okay, he's quite fast as well. Okay, but this is not bad, right? This is a good start. So the basic character movement, at least, it does. Okay, and he is slower than I am. Okay, but the animations are not hooked up yet. Okay, but this is not a bad stopping and following distance, I think. We could increase the follow distance. Oh wait, we don't increase it there. We need to increase it here. So let's make the follow distance 15 and let's make the stop distance 12 and let's see how that works. Okay, so now he'll stop sooner because he knows he's in range. And you know what, he could even follow later than what he's doing now. So he just looks at me. Let's just try debug and let's see the distance here. Okay, he uses stop distance to determine whether or not he should be following or not. Okay, that's also something that he shouldn't be doing. He should have a little bit more freedom. Okay, so he's just always trying to keep... Okay, he does look at me. That's good. And then he follows. Okay. So let's just stop that there. Okay, so let's put this to like 12 and let's make this like 15. Let's get it out of debug. Okay, so now we can look at some of the other things. So he doesn't animate, which is expected because we're changing the enemy state machine. And our animator, I don't think I've actually added the animator. Yeah, we still have this RBE animator, so we need to add a component, enemy animator, instead. Right? Like that. Okay, so we're not going to use this animator anymore. So let's just open it up and see what it does. It doesn't do anything special, right? Yeah. So we can remove this component. Now we got the new animator, which is just the generic enemy animator. Okay. And then I also want to create a new script for this guy, because I don't like this one. So we'll call this create script RBE animation events. Okay, it's just going to be a simplified animation events. And then we can go and tweak the animations as well. Okay, so let's see animation events. Let's get rid of this stuff. Okay, so let's see the previous one. Okay, it had a bunch of nonsense. Okay, so we need a throw bomb start, throw bomb end. And that's pretty much it. Right, because none of the other events are being used, I don't believe. Okay, but that's... Okay, so we need those two. Okay, then we just need the events, the new Unity events. So just copy those in so that those go away. Okay, is attack animation playing? Okay, so this is some other stuff that I don't even know if is entirely needed. It might be. We'll look at that. Okay, sound manager stuff. Yeah, we'll do that differently this time. Okay, do we need to set the state to idle? Let's see this animation events. Yeah, we didn't really have... We only had the trigger for the attack, which made sense for this one. Okay, so for this one, we want... At the end of the bomb throwing, we want to set our state to idle again. That's not necessarily bad. So what we can get is our serialized field. Private enemy manager. And then we can just do enemy manager dot state machine. Okay, we could do something like that. So we get the state machine. But this would be enemy state machine dot state dot idle. Okay. And is attack animation playing or not? This is not something we would keep track of in the same way anymore. Okay, let's just go look at Grigori Night Dragon. Hello. How's it going? Okay, so we got a bunch of nonsense over here, but I don't think most of this nonsense is being used. Hey, thanks for the follow, man. Appreciate that. So let's just see, let's just click over here and see if I plugged anything in at the inspector side. Only throwing bomb stuff. Okay. Okay, so that's actually quite straightforward then. So let's do RVE animation events. So we have our new animation events now. That's going to do. Looking for a good developer? This might not be the place. I'm certainly a developer. Don't know about good though. Okay, we just need a reference to the manager. Let's drag that in there. Okay. So what do we do here? Okay, we changed the smoke bomb, so we can do that stuff again. Lower spine, chest. Does he? Oh, he's a lefty. Okay. Where the hell's the smoke bomb? There we go. So let's add our smoke bomb. Okay, so that's just the smoke bomb visual that he holds in his hand that appears and disappears when he throws it. I make it work, yes. That sounds about right. Set active? Yeah. So on start throwing the bomb, it appears and then it disappears when we finish throwing the bomb. Okay, and then on the bomb spawner, which I guess I drag the whole enemy in here, and then I look for the bomb spawner. What do I? Just spawn bomb, apparently. Okay, cool. So now this new animation events, which is way simpler, should work. This is Unity that I'm using. I'm using Unity. I'm going to tell you one thing. Our character artist is good. That's about... I can say that with confidence. She might not feel that way, but I feel that way. Look at our cool enemies. Okay, wait. Why? There's too many gizmos. There's Small Lizard. There's the frog that chucks bombs at you. Then we have the crocodile's crotch. So this is a boss enemy. We don't see him often because I can't get to him. I die way before I get to the boss. But anyway, and then we have a Komodo dragon, which he's like a rugby player. He just tackles everybody. This guy's very flippin' annoying. And not annoying, he's, that's not the right word. He's dangerous, right? No, I can deal with these two. This guy comes in, I'm cooked. Yeah. Oh wait, I said, not you, this guy. This guy. You can see how your choice of naming makes things complicated. Okay, yeah, but those are all our characters, but we are currently busy with refactoring most of them, all of them, so they don't work. Only the small one works, and now I'm busy trying to make this one work again. And then in the future, I should be able to, do things way simply, or much simpler, is the idea. Adding new... Is that why you chose the name? Okay. You like Unreal Engine, Grigori? Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea how good or not good Unreal Engine is. There's another streamer I watch that uses Unreal Engine, and it seems pretty nice. I just kind of got stuck into Unity, so that's where I'm staying for now. You've never tried Unity? Yeah. Well, I've never tried Unreal, so I guess that's that's just kind of how it is. Part for the course. It's a lot of stuff, right? Learning engines, it's a lot of work. Engines are pretty powerful pieces of software, so there's a ton of things you need to get your head around. And, just jumping between different engines, it's not necessarily gonna get you any results in the long run, right? You need to commit to one and just put in the hours until you understand how it works, I would say. Okay, so we are busy with animations, so let's just go to our animations. But a lot of these might be broken now, so let's just see. Our death animation doesn't have any sound effects that need to play. Our range attack animation, so let's see what... Throw bomb start. Okay, foot left, we can get rid of that one. Throw bomb end, we can keep. Running, we are not playing footstep sound, so let's just get rid of those. And then walking backwards, we also not going to play any sound, so get rid of that. Does Unity have more assets? Unity has a massive asset store. Like a ton of stuff. I think a lot of the good asset creators create assets both for Unity and Unreal. So I would say they kind of have the same amount of assets. Okay. So I've done a few things. Let's see if this works. So we got our new enemy animator plugged in. And it's connected to the state machine. This is connected to the state machine. Now, does the state machine do anything? Let's find out. Let's find out. Let's see if I play the game, if this frog comes. Hey, look at that. He's waddling. Now, he doesn't attack me. Right, attacking is a different thing. I need to set that up. But he runs, he stops, he runs again. So he's definitely changing states in some way. So we can open up our debug view and let's go look at our state machine. So yeah, he's idle, run, idle, run. So there we go. So the basic movement is working. He seems a bit too fast, to be honest. I don't like it when the frogs are this fast. Let's make their movement speed 5. Is that better? Wait, he still seems very fast. Okay, no wait, now I just broke it because he can't go at negative speeds. I can't tell if he's going fast or not. Oh, he's not. Oh, that's right. I didn't set the speed in the nav mesh. Oh, I only set this at the start. Yeah, I can't change it dynamically like that from enemy data. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I only set the speed at start, I believe. Or I don't know actually. Let's go check my movement speeds, my movement script. I might not be doing that at all. No, I do that. Okay. So at start I do update the movement speed, which is why when I dragged it like that, it doesn't actually continuously update my movement speed. Makes sense. Okay. Okay, so we got basic movement going. Now, let's go back to our actual movement for this guy, and let's see, where it overlaps with basic movement and what we need to add or remove. Where do we want it to take over? GL, good luck. I think, is that what you're saying? Good luck and good night? Good luck and good night to you too, Grigori. It is the middle of the day though. It is 8 a.m. I'm not gonna go anywhere. I'm gonna stay here. Okay, so this thing is absolutely buggered. That's fantastic. Okay, so let's see what can we definitely get rid of. So we could definitely get rid of this, right? We're not doing the pushing thing in that manner anymore. So let's just safely delete that. Dying and stunning, I also don't want that to be managed with us. Ah, you're from Texas. Ah, I'm from South Africa. The Texas of Africa. No, I don't know if that's true. I might just be talking a load of nonsense. It is certainly a part of Africa, but I don't know if it's the Texas of Africa. Okay. That's a lot of red lines. Okay, so I think my basic movement, let's just get that over here. You know what? Let's put them side by side. We can almost do this. This is a thing. Wait, we can't. Wait, no, we can. We should be able to. Window. New vertical document. There we go. Yo. Okay, this is difficult to read because it's zoomed in like that. Okay, let's go through it. So there's a lot of stuff that the basic movement already handles, I think. Yeah, so first of all, basic movement already gets our look direction and our distance to player. So that's just sorted. So we don't need to get direction to player, look direction, any of that nonsense. So we can get rid of pretty much all of this stuff. Right? Then it'll also already handle this piece of nonsense where we pretty much just move towards the player depending on so all of this can go away, and that actually means this else statement can go away as well. Okay. Now let's see what's doing here. Okay, we can get rid of this safely as well because we are never going to get pushed in the same way again. So that's a safe thing to delete. Okay, push direction. Okay, these two lines can go away. Okay. Now, let's see. If okay, so now we have this additional requirement that we need to check for, which is the attack animation that we need to take into consideration. So previously, whenever our character did his whole movement thing, we didn't consider whether or not, so this is for the simple enemy, right? We don't really care whether or not he's doing an animation, right? He can move while doing an animation, so that's not bad. This guy, however, gets a trigger to throw a bomb, and then while he is throwing his bomb, we don't want him to run after you at the same time. We want him to stand still, throw the bomb, then get running. So, we have this attack animation playing thing that we need to keep track of. Okay. Now for the Komodo dragon, I have something very similar, and for, I think, the crocodile. But I don't call it is attack animation playing. I call it is doing action, right? And any type of action would count. So one of the actions would be attacking. So this is kind of where we deviate. So we can think about that. Okay. So this is kind of where we are now, right? Here, we don't need any of this because we can just run the rotate to face player function if we need that. Okay, now we are in this bit of logic over here. So if the distance to player is greater than the stop distance, which is basically what this asks, run towards him. If it's less than the stop distance, something else needs to happen. Now, you see, now this is where we can now kind of decide. How much of this... Okay, so it's a bit difficult. So basic movement can handle most things up to here. The problem is when the character gets too close, we want him to walk backwards. So that's a very niche situation, right? So there we have to take over. And since that is kind of weird, maybe we just take over all the movement, I think, in this case. Yeah, I think I'm just going to take over all the movement from the start. Maybe we move this out of basic movement. That could also be an idea. Where if the distance to player is greater than 40, we just do this anyway. It doesn't have to be inside of basic movement. What did I just hear? I heard a sound effect and I don't know what it is. Okay. I don't see any activity, so it's probably nothing. Okay, so we could say that our basic movement starts over here. And that this piece of code should belong somewhere to this. Right. So maybe we move that over. So this is when this one doesn't work so well, but let's try and move it. So we can do okay, something like this. Okay, and we can calculate our... Can't we just do look direction dot normalize here? And we don't need that anymore. We don't need this. This else doesn't make any sense anymore. So let's delete that. And let's delete one of these brackets that are now addition. Okay. Okay, so that's the only thing that I think we can take out of here. So basically, update is going to do the following. It's going to say, okay, cool. Is our distance to the player greater than 40? Yes, it is. Cool, just disable the agent and run and literally drag the enemy across the screen. Okay. If we get to the point where we are closer than that and basic movement is allowed, that's great. Then we can do basic movement and then we just re-enable the agent. Okay. Now we do need to be careful about disabling and enabling agents because that could cause problems if we don't enable it again when we try to do other things like stop and whatever. Okay, but now at least that means over here in our range bomber enemy movement, which is currently still a mess, we don't have to worry about that little piece of code at the beginning, and we can only focus on this stuff. Okay, I like that. Okay, I'm gonna go to the restroom again. Too much coffee this early in the morning. I'll be right back. I have returned. Okay, let's figure this out. Okay, now I would like to use basic movement as far as I can. So maybe, let's see. This is, okay, so idling is fine. Walking backwards, so these two specifically are my issue, right? Okay, let's comment this out again, because it's, whoa, that's not a comment. Okay, so but these two are specifically my problems, right? What did I just do? Okay, let's just get them out of there. Okay, let's control. Whoa. Okay. So just give me a minute while I unbreak my code. Okay. So on update, this is now in my general movement. I want to do something like this. So distance to player, this we can get from movement basic dot distance to player, right? So that's where we get that number from, because we don't calculate it here anymore. Okay, we just slap them in there. Okay, so that's the first thing. There we go. This is not. This would just be state machine dot get state, and this would be enemy state machine walking backwards, right? Okay, then we need to change this to state machine, this to state machine, this to state machine, And then these ones need to be enemy state machine for all of them to work. Okay, so let's see how this guy is thinking. So on update, we can ask the question, yo, are we less than 10 and our current state is not walking backwards? Okay, if that is the case, walk backwards, please. Okay, so this is effectively asking if the player is too close to us. If the player is within this 10 range, you want to back up, right? So we just set the state to walking backwards. Okay, that's fine. Else, if the distance to the player is greater than 10, and so the distance is between 10 and 18 specifically, then, and we are not in idle, we can just go to idle. Okay, so this is kind of taking care of this little bit of code over here, which is our stop distance. Okay, and our stop distance also tells us to run towards the player. Okay, so should we have this part as well? Then we have all three cases. I guess we should, right? Because it's going to be difficult to only have one of them. So let's add that over there as well. Let me do else if, like that. Okay, so if movement basic dot distance to player. Okay, so this is our stop distance, and in this case, that would be the 18, right? Yeah. So dot get. Oh, wait. We have a different way of doing this. We can say movement basic dot is something about stop distance greater than stop distance. That basically asks this question, distance to player that greater than 18. So if we look here, yeah, that's exactly what it asks. Okay, so we can just simply ask that question, greater than stop distance, and then wherever there's, okay, here we have moving basic distance to player less than our stop distance. Okay. So we just have to do moving basic dot stop distance, I guess. Okay, so these are our stop distances for chasing after the player. Okay, then we have the secondary distance, which is kind of unique for the frog. Do I want to do that one greater than stop distance? Wait, don't I have... Wait, I think I have another script. I actually do have greater than follow distance. Okay. What the hell? Okay, so that's okay. Let's keep it like that. Okay, so now we asking all the questions that we normally would ask right here. Right, and we should also just make sure that the agent is stopped at that point. So the agent is stopped, we ask all these questions, and then we need to decide based on the answer from these questions whether we go from running, walking backwards, or idle, how exactly we move. So if we are running, we can follow for a bit and then stop eventually. And then if we are walking backwards, we can walk backwards for a bit and then stop eventually. So I guess these we'll put over there, and we'll just get rid of all that. Okay. And okay, so basically this thing is going to take over most of our movement, I guess. Is there any movement that the basic movement can still do for us? Yeah, so this is running after and then stopping when we get close. The problem is working in this walking backwards thing. Right, because we can do so, and even idle, the condition for idle is a bit complicated. So we could split these two into, hey, Vink098. I am programming in C#. So let's think about this. We could split these up, right? Because this is technically the movement. This is just the siding movement. Then we could still use this part for running. Could we? Let's see. So running, distance to player, stopped, false, and then yeah, that still seems to be the same. And then else, let's just see. Stop true. Vector 0, go to idle. Yeah, so that's all still the same. The problem is this walking part. So if I don't want to duplicate code, I could just basically take this from here and run it over this side. So we can decide what to do here, have this be done on the basic movement side, and then for walking backwards we have to kind of go here. It doesn't save a lot of code, to be honest with you. I'm just gonna, it's like 5 lines of code that I'm duplicating. I am not gonna worry about it. I'm just gonna duplicate the lines of code, I think. Yeah. So basically this part over here is gonna be this part over here, right? That's literally the same thing. So distance to player greater than stop distance. We can just do that like that. Okay, so basically all we're asking is, okay, if we are running, we can, and we are still greater than our stop distance, we go, right? We have a destination, is stopped as false. Until this is not true anymore, then we stop, right? So that's this part of the code sorted. And yeah, okay, this is code duplication. So technically I could make this work a little bit differently and use this instead. So I could do something like a public void basic chase character type of thing, and then I basically just do this part here over this side, and then I do basic chase character in here. Okay, kind of like that. So basic chase character is very straightforward. Let's actually call it chase player. Okay, so if we are in the running state, we have to chase the player in a basic way. And then what that means is over on this side, we can also ask, you know, are we actually in the running state? If we are, then that's great. Then we just do movement basic dot basic chase player, and that's it. That's all she wrote. Okay, then walking backwards is obviously not a basic function, so we need to think about that a little bit more carefully. Okay, but we already got most of this. So we go state machine dot get state. This should be enemy state machine walking. Okay, so first of all, we stop the agent if we are in the walking backwards state. Is that really what we do? Okay, well, let's see. So distance to player, obviously this is this one, and okay, this is state machine, this is enemy state. So let's see what we do here. Okay, so if we decide what state to go into, if we are in the running state, that's great, then we just chase the player. If we are actually in the walking state, then we have to do something different. So we stop the agent. Oh, yes, that's right. The agent doesn't do walking backwards for us. So we stop the agent. Then, if we are still closer than 10, we can just transform position. Okay, so we go backwards. So this is just the direction. This direction, transform.position, player transform.position. I think we have a way, we already calculate this every frame. We calculate this in look direction, but opposite, right? So we just want, we already have look direction. So we can just say this is equal to negative our movement basic dot look direction, right? We already calculate that. We don't have to calculate it again. Okay, and we go at half our agent speed backwards. Okay, state machine dot set state. Okay, if so, that just basically if we are not that close anymore, we can just go to idle, and that's it. That should be our frog movement. Now, there's probably still a few things we need to consider, but what is happening here? Like that. There we go. Okay, so this somehow is all the movement stuff for our frog. That is interesting. Yeah, so it's a little bit more complicated than the basic enemy, but somehow it doesn't look that bad right now. Okay, so we just decide based on our criteria whether or not we are running after the player or not. If we are running after the player, we just do basic chase player. If we need to walk backwards, we do our little walk backwards thing. Okay, so agent is stopped is equal to true. So the only other thing now that we need to decide is, since we do all the decision making, which is this part, and the movement, we get the only movement we actually do need is this, but we get that from there. We actually never do basic movement. Is that the case then? I think that is the case. Okay, so that means basic movement will be set false from the start and never be made true for this specific character. So we can either go here, we can just do the transform. Then when we go here, where we ask, okay, else if do basic movement, no, we just go over that to that side. Okay. Okay, so we just need to make sure we so we get the state machine. Okay, so this we need to check over to that side then. So since this thing is doing all the movement for us, we just need to make sure we are not allowing movement when we are dead or stunned. Okay, so we just need to do that. So if we are dead or stunned, this doesn't do anything. And also, this could only take over if this is false. Right. Okay, we can do something like a public boolean, I think. Public boolean. I think it'll just have a public boolean is far from player. Okay, and we do a get private set, and on update we actually check is far from player equals this, right? And then we can just put it in here. Okay, but now that means also we can figure out if is far from player is true or false from the other side. So every frame we basically check, are we far from the player or not? If we are far from the player, we obviously do this. If we are not far from the player, we can do something else. And the something else is only done. Okay, so then we shouldn't be dead, stunned, dead, or... So, and... movement basic dot is far from player should be false, right? So we should be close, right? So if we are close to the player, that means we can do other fancy movement stuff, right? So this is all our basic movement. This should still work for both characters, and it should now work for the frog as well. I believe the frog, I do believe I did everything I needed to do. So let's go through this. So let's say we are close to the player. So that skips that. Do basic movement is set to false, so we just need to do that. So on start, we should do movement basic dot do basic movement equals false, right? So just so we know, we can never take the do basic movement, this thing, can never take control of this character. Okay? Okay, then we go to here, else if this is... So basically at the start of this, everything's going to be false, so nothing's going to work. Okay? Nothing in basic movement is going to do anything. Only if we are too far away will it take over, or if we die will it take over. If we are still alive and not stunned and we are close, this is taking over. Okay, that makes a lot of sense to me. So let's see if... Oh, I also need to maybe work in another thing with actions. Right, because when the animations are playing, I also don't want any movement to occur. I want him to finish his movement. Hey, sorry. What's the game? It's called Aviorium. Aviorum. Oh. Aviorum. whatever, something like that. You fight as a bunch of birds, or you are a bunch of birds. You are a party of birds that fight waves and waves of reptiles coming at you, right? So we have a frog, which is not a reptile, I know, and a bunch of other lizards and stuff. So there's a small lizard with his stabby stick, and we have a Komodo dragon over there. He just punches you in the face. And then finally we have our boss currently. But I'm doing a bunch of refactoring, which basically means I've broken most of my characters. So I just finished some movement stuff for the frog. So let's see if the frog can move, and if he moves correctly. So we'll take the ranger, for instance. We can get rid of the gizmos. Okay, so he walks towards me. He stops. If I get too close, okay, he does move backwards the right way. He just doesn't do the right animations, unfortunately. So we just need to make sure our animations are working. Okay, but yeah, he keeps kind of looking at me, and then he runs after me. So I just need to go figure out what's going on with the animations. And then I can shoot him, I can do backflips. Actually, can I kill him? Let's see. So I should be able to, because that's part of basic movement. So he's now poisoned. I don't think my poison does enough damage. So let's shoot him. Okay. So he died. Okay, so he can die. He does despawn. So a lot of the stuff, and this is why I did a lot of the refactoring. So all of that functionality, I didn't even touch it. It's just the basic functionality. So that's working, which I'm very glad for. So let's see what happens with the animations. Right, so if you look at the animator, surely this is not the frog's end. Okay, there we go. So, okay, we have walking backwards, and it triggers when walking backwards is set to true. So our animator, this guy over here, let's just see. Okay, so we don't have attack triggers just yet. Don't know why we do this, to be honest. Okay, but our state change should have been happening. And we should have gotten the walking backwards state, which should make is walking backwards true. So we just need to figure out why he wasn't walking backwards. Maybe the state wasn't set correctly. Okay, so if the state wasn't set correctly, I'm gonna guess that's due to movement. So let's see. Not enemy movement, RBE movement. Okay, so let's go through this. So that would be this one. So it checks if the distance is less than 10, and then it sets the state to walking backwards. And if the state is walking backwards, that would cause him to move backwards. So actually, he should be in the correct state. So it's interesting that the animator didn't realize that. He is in the correct state, otherwise he wouldn't be moving correctly. But somehow the animator was not doing the right thing. So we have the enemy animator. We did plug everything in correctly. Unless my triggers are incorrect. I don't think they are. Okay, so this is the animator. Okay, we're gonna have to open up the animator to the side, and let's open it up over there while we play the game to have a look. Okay, Ranger, let's go. Okay, so we're running towards... Okay, wait, now we need to click on this frog now. He's idling. Okay, that's good. Now he's running. Idling again. If I go to close, so is idle is still the state that's being set. Interesting. And if I kill him, he does go to dead. That's very interesting. So the walking backwards is never set? How would that happen? So we get the state change, and if the state change is walking backwards, it should make false idle and make true walking backwards, but it doesn't. So our state machine somehow is not connected correctly. I'm not quite sure how that's the case, but anyway. So let's open the frog again. Okay, so let's have a look at our we got a manager over there, we got a state machine over there. This state machine comes from here. And we only have the one state machine, don't we? Interesting. So our movement. Let's see. Enemy manager. Let's get this state machine. It is the state machine connected to this, right? No. It is this guy. So we have a walking backwards state, and we do set it. Very interesting. Okay, maybe we take a look at our inspector in debug mode to see if we can figure out what the problem is over there. So obviously, okay, so there's definitely something happening. We're not changing states the way we should be. Okay, what is our state? So it's idle. Ah, very interesting. Ah, I'm stupid. I need to click on this frog over here. Okay, now it's idle. Running. Idle. So it doesn't actually enter the walking backwards state. How is that possible? So if we look at enemy movement... That is interesting. Because he moves backwards, right? And there should not be a reason for him to move. But let's see. So we decide over here if the distance to the player is less than 10 and we are not in the walking backwards state. Right? We set our state to be walking backwards. And only when we are in the walking backwards state can we actually move backwards. How the hell is this working? This shouldn't... It's obviously changing it, but it's also not changing it at the same time. This is so bizarre. So we do state machine.getState. We return the state that we are in. What is happening? This is such a weird one. I have no idea what the hell is happening. It must be something dumb. So his state is never changing, right? That is... Okay, let's see. Enemy... Where's my state machine? Okay, so he's idling now. No, it does go from idle to running. It doesn't go to walking backwards. And I think it does go to dead. Yep. It goes to dead. So it can go from idle to running to dead. Let's see if he can get stunned. Yep. He gets stunned. And I believe if we look at his state, he goes into the stunned state. So that's all the basic stuff working. He just never wants to go to walking backwards. Which I don't understand at all. So my enemy manager obviously has a reference to the state machine, right? And that is where most of our stuff is happening. Nothing else really gets... Well, okay, our basic movement gets a reference straight. I mean, but it's setting everything from here. It's definitely doing this, and it's definitely doing this, and it must be doing this. Which state machine is it setting then? Okay, let's see. I have no idea. Let's do a debug.log. And let's ask it to give me the state machine. Or let's do state machine dot game object. So tell me what state machine you are trying to get when you are walking backwards. I don't even know why I would ask it that. This is going to be interesting. It should return a ranged bomber enemy, right? Just so we're all on the same page. Oh, okay, we have a bunch of interesting... Okay, wait, maybe this is the problem. The parameter is blocking and is walking does not exist. So maybe this is my problem. It's giving me errors, and that's why it's not wanting to do some of the movement. So I need to add parameters here. So is blocking, even though we don't really use it, but, and then is walking. Right, maybe that's, it was upset about that, and then when it tried to set them false, we just got errors, and then it never got to set walking. Maybe? The walking backwards one? Okay, so now we're not getting over... It's not overflowing with errors. He runs towards me. Okay. So it is in fact the ranged bomber enemy's state machine. But if I look at the state machine itself, Where is it? I'm blind. Oh, there we go. So idle. Just stays in idle. Which is why he's playing the idle animation. Okay. So in other words, this is getting... Okay, let's do get state. Yeah, like, is there a way? So if this is false, then he shouldn't be able to move backwards at all, ever. Right, how is he moving backwards? Okay, so we get state there. And I'm telling you, if it says it's walking backwards, then I don't know. I don't know. That doesn't make any sense to me. There's a disconnect here somewhere. It definitely is walking backwards, right? Ah, that sounds great. You won, eh? You are the adult after all. I have a conundrum. This is the weirdest thing I've had happen to me. I have no idea where to even start looking. So here's the thing, right? So you can see the state machine. I have it open here in debug mode. It says he's idling right now. Okay, and if I run away, it goes to running, and if I kill him, it goes to dead, right? So my code is doing something. Now, when I walk towards him, the state machine should go to walking backwards, right? These guys walk away from you. But it doesn't. It just stays in idle. Okay, but he still moves backwards like he is walking backwards. But the state never changes. And because the state doesn't change, the animations don't play correctly. So what I did was, in this piece of code here, where I make him walk backwards, I check, is the state.walking backwards? And I print that to the screen, or to the console over here, and as you can see, when I get close, he is walking backwards. That's what he believes he's doing, so the movement script knows he should be walking backwards, and he does. But the actual state machine itself never sets the state to walking backwards. And I don't know what this is. The state machine doesn't go to walking backwards, and then obviously my animations don't play. I don't understand. You think it's switching between the two too fast? That could be possible, eh? No O's. No O's, I don't know. Okay, it might be these distances. Okay, wait, let's see what they are set to. No, but how? Okay, so you're saying that he goes into walking. And then kind of, so if we look at this, you would go into the walking state. So this would run. And then I print the debug, we stop him, all that stuff is good. It checks the distance to the player. It's like, that's fine. It moves my character. All of that stuff's happening. This doesn't happen. And then it goes back into the idle state immediately. After that update. Because it does move the character. And then it just sets it back to idle. Who would be doing that? Maybe it goes to here. Where do I set walking backwards? I'll show you now. So what you're saying is, okay, so what we can do maybe. So we should be seeing this. If we go to enemy state machine, right? And every time we set the state, we do a debug. Not log, and we just print the state, right? If we did that, it should be flickering. So we should be printing out walk backwards, idle, walk backwards, idle, walk backwards, idle a million times, right? Does that make sense? I think so. Just want to go to the, where's this other thing? In movement. Just want to get rid of this one that's also getting state. Because I know it thinks we are in the right state. So let's see what happens when it starts moving backwards. If it's doing... So this thing should be printing now a bunch of things. Okay. Ah. Yeah, look at that. I actually want to do something else. Ah, you see, you have experience with this stuff. Ah, it's good. It's good that you came back from the Nerf gun fight. Okay, so I changed the state. So let's see, that would be in movement. No, not that movement, in this movement, right? So if you are greater than the stop distance, we go to running state. If this is where we set walking backwards. Yeah, so I think this is the thing. So it sees the distance to play is less than 10, so it sets it to walking backwards. But then it goes, in the next frame, it's like, oh, but the distance to play is greater than or equal to 10. No, that doesn't make sense. It shouldn't be able to do those things twice. So maybe the idle state is set somewhere else. What else can change a state to idle? Line 42. Oh, it might be just setting it back to idle itself. Okay. No, but it... Get rid of the if, but keep the body. So we keep line 43. And then we do the rest. Okay, I get what you're saying. It's a similar... It does the same thing, right? Yeah, so you do... if... So you just do is greater than or equal. So we still do the transform. And then after we've done the transform, we basically check, okay, are we now greater than or equal to? And if we are, we can do all this nonsense. Which, I mean, logically to me seems like it's the same code. But anyway, maybe it's not understanding it correctly. So if we are in the walking backwards state, we can transform our position in reverse. And then once we are back to more than 10, it should set the state to 0 and stop the agent. For some reason, if the agent was moving. Okay. This is more coherent, I would agree. This makes more sense. This could also be kind of an issue. I think I do something similar here in a bad way. But anyway, it's fine. Let's see. Let's see if it's doing this now. I also don't like actually the way that this thing is just spamming us like that. I didn't realize that it's continuously telling the thing to run. Like, it's already running. You don't need to tell it to run again. So I do want to change the way that behaves. Okay. Okay, so it does exactly the same thing. Well, I don't want to click collapse. Wait, I'm now not... Wait, how do I get it to... Ah, jeez. Okay. Why is it not scrolling anymore? Okay, it's scrolling again. Okay, so it's doing the same thing. When I get close, it does walking backwards, idle, walking backwards, idle, walking backwards, idle. Chat, why is this name so long? That's a pretty cool name. What am I making? I'm making a survival roguelike game. Can you believe it? About birds fighting lizards and frogs and stuff. This is my ranger. She does backflips. Just have to remind myself that I'm capable of doing this. I can make a character do amazing backflips, but I can't get this frog to walk backwards. Yeah, okay, and then he dies and that's over. Dying is not a problem, apparently. Everything else is a problem. Okay, so you are now convinced that this is not actually where we are. Resetting him to idle. We must be doing it somewhere else. We could be doing it here. If the distance to player is greater than or equal to 10 and but it's still less than the stop distance and we are not in idle, make us idle. Okay, so technically then if we do it there, we don't need any of this code. Because we are checking it there every frame anyway. So on each frame, we should go through here and we're like, okay, cool, let's see. Should we be running? Not quite. Okay, fine. Are we less than 10 away from the player? So did the player get kind of close and we are not currently in the walking state? Or walking backwards state. If that's the case, okay, please walk backwards. Now, if we get to this point, we can then stop walking backwards, right? So we can fix that. And then, okay, let's go see what this basic movement does. So if we are greater than the stop distance, so this stop distance might be messing with us as well. So we might not be greater than stop distance. Okay, but we're also not running, so that doesn't make a difference. We should see what the stop distance is, though. So the stop distance, I think I changed it in the inspector, but it should be 18. That is when... Maybe it's actually... Yeah, maybe the stop distance is broken. Okay, so let's make it 18 and let's make this 20. Okay, so now it is what it was. Let's sip some tea. Okay, so he's clearly far away from us, so he keeps on running. Okay, let's take the chicken, why not? So he runs, then he idles. Fantastic. And then I get close, and he walks back, and he idles. Okay, so let's look for everything that sets the state to idle. So we can go to our state machine. Okay, we set the state, so there's 11 references. Okay, that's done, dead, okay. Enemy movement basic, so there's a couple of places that set him to idle in enemy movement basic. Okay. Animation events. Hey. Okay, so let's go to enemy movement basic and let's go look for where he sets it to idle. Okay, so basic movement sets him to idle, but basic movement is not playing at all, ever. Right here at the top, when I ask, should we do basic movement, it is set to false. Oh. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I set it true on start. And then in this one, I set it false on start, but we all know that we don't know what the ordering is of the stuff. So I might be switching it off and then back on again. Whoopsie. Okay, so let's make an awake function. And we can default this to true. So we switch it on, default, right? But in the start of this one, we switch it off again. So then we know for a fact, none of this is happening, right? Except for this bit. This bit could happen. Okay, so because we set it to idle there. Oh, I think this is it. I think this is it, because look at this. It says distance to play is less than the stop distance. Now, I don't want it to do that because obviously yeah, I think I found it. That is probably the problem. Let's check. Okay, so he stops. Yep. That it was exactly the problem. Okay, so he walks backwards, but he doesn't look at me. Okay. Okay. Yep. I found it. He just doesn't look at me now, but that's a small price to pay. That's a simple one, actually. I just forgot to put in this rotate face to face player. I should run that pretty much almost always, to be honest. Yeah. I think I run that always. So on every update we rotate to face player. Technically we don't need to do that when we are using our agent. Yeah, because then we have a set destination, which means the rotation would be done by our agent. We just need it when we are idling or walking backwards. I think that is the case for most enemies, to be honest. Simple melee enemy. Let's see. When did you rotate to face player? Yeah. So basically, either the agent does it or you do it. And the agent would only do it when you are greater than your stop distance. So we don't do it here, but we would do it here. Right, when he walks backwards, and then also when he is idling. So greater than stop distance, we run if I guess we could just do it here, actually. Okay, let's see if that looks fine. If he rotates towards me. What am I listening to? Oh no. I just realized my playlist on Spotify kinda went and did its own thing for the last I don't know how many hours. So I might get copyright striked. It was just... Yeah, you can't hear the music, but I can guarantee you YouTube will be able to hear the music. Okay, so let's see. He does now look at me. Not when he's idling though. Only when he walks backwards does he rotate. Okay. So maybe I just do, so if walking backwards we can face the player, we can just also say if state machine is idle, idle. So idle from doesn't really matter where, we can just you need to turn your video channel audio off. What do you mean? In okay, so now if we are in the idle state, we are rotating to face the player, and if we are in the walking backwards state, we are rotating to face the player. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, YouTube is different. Yeah. So, the music is coming through. Yeah, this is just basically because I'm not good at. But in my audio mixer, the channel is just the desktop audio, right? But yeah, I get what you're saying. I could have desktop audio be muted and only mic audio come through on the VOD. Somehow, I've heard of ways to do this before, but there's some caveats. I think one of them is I can't hear the music. There's something like that could happen. Okay, so he now walks backwards when I'm too close. And does he still turn towards me? Yes. Okay, cool. So our movement, and then if I get too close, he will back off. If I run away, he will chase. And if I do a backflip in your face, you die to poison. Okay, cool. I think that's good enough for today. I'm going to call it there. Have a good weekend, everybody. I will be back tomorrow. I won't have a long stream tomorrow, but I'll be here. So, see how that goes. Anyway, yeah, let's go. Let's go to work. I still have a whole ass Friday ahead of me. Unfortunately. Let's see. In the stream. Hopefully I am not super copyrighted. Copywritten. Something like that. Anyway. Cheers, guys.